say is we have astute. This is why I love Romulus. The people here are not dumb. They don't forget. They're very astute. They know what happened and they know who did it. Do the right thing. It's not political. It's not racial. Do the right thing. Thank you.
B, approval of the bills for payment as submitted by Dr. Maria Gitzinger in the amount of $2,532,515.04. And C, approval of the personnel actions as submitted by Human Resources Director Kevin Brock, employment of Justin Gonzalez, special education paraprofessional for Romulus Middle School.
Support.
We have a motion by Wester, supported by Davis. Roll call vote.
Wester,
Yes.
Davis,
Can. All right, thank you very much. Now, from those 27 class representatives, 10 students showed interest in running for class president. So I'm here to announce our class presidents to you today as well. Starting with our 6th grade STEAM class president is Miss Lucy Taylor.
And personal finance. They were given personas and they got to design their budget and discover that they don't have enough money to buy the groceries that they needed to buy based on what money was given to them. So this year, in anticipation of the new personal finance law that has passed for Michigan, our 8th graders, you may or may not know, will be responsible in obtaining a 1/2 credit in personal finance.
scores for the NWEA. So as you know, we take our exam in the fall, and then again in the winter, and again in the spring. And some students made a wonderful showing. So if I could just call the student names, and maybe they meet in the middle there so you can see our students, get a good look at these ones. They're our future. And I'm just gonna call the names of all the students. So when I call your name, head to the center. Peyton Brown, Kennedy Motley, Kaylee Parker, Judy Elziati, Kaylee Parker again for math, and Alexander McCormick. Those were our 6th grade students. Nice job, guys. And we see our STEM Blazers represented. Nice job. Our 7th graders, Liam Pasek, Zoe Pierre-Paul, Kemjika Obina, Nathaniel Smith, Blake Staten, and Marina Ruiz Ramirez. Nice job, guys. And our 8th graders, Wyatt Smith, Xavier Langford, Faith Harden, Wyatt Smith again for math, Reginae Robinson, and Tyreek Williams. Great job. Our top scorers from the NWEA. Thank you, guys. Mr. Wilson.
Good evening, everyone. We just want to touch bases. Attitude and problem-solving capabilities into all students that ensures their future success. Want to make sure that that is our driving force by the things that we do. We also have what we call the bulldog butterfly effect. The bulldog butterfly effect. If we look here and we talk about the butterfly effect is this. The sensitive dependency on initial conditions in which a small change at one doing here. One of the biggest changes, the most significant small change, is our effort to dedicate 30 minutes to 1 hour of the school day to teaching math or ELA on IXL. All teachers, including special teachers, will teach either math or ELA. This is really important because we know, just looking at our research and just sitting down, we know that IXL is going to be tied to having great started last April when we started to change the culture. Also, contributing factors when we talked about summer school and what they learned and how they were introduced to IXL. These things right here helped us get to that point. So it's a tie-in from what we started last year, and we pick up this year on what we're doing, and it's really contributed to our success, or it's making a large difference. Look at the difference. That's a 5.82 increase in proficiency. If we talk about in terms of growth, if we look here in our math with reading, we're at 30% in the spring and 64.24 in the fall. If we look at the comparison, That's the grade level norm. If we look in terms of what we did, we exceeded our goal by that much. Oh, you can give a hand clap. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Here, that's for 6th grade. For 7th grade, we were at our target. We'll take that. Yeah, we doing a great job, and we put those numbers into perspective. The feedback that we're getting back from them, hey, listen, I got rid of that D or that C and I improved it. We get that feedback all the time. We see that there, and we see that, and that ties into what we do in Renaissance, where where students are coming up giving us high fives, like, you know what, I got rid of that D, to Wesley, or Mr. White, you know what, I'm good now. I don't have to go to Renaissance because I put in the work to increase that. So we're always emphasizing that, always interpreting so that they understand what they're doing, and always incorporating academics and what we do and how it affects them, again, in the 13th grade.
Thank you. And last question, how many students are approximately attending Renaissance each day?
Well, okay, I'll take you back. The first year we had it, we had 200 students. This year, we had 101 students. Today, as of today, we have 75 students. So they're getting it, and they're really getting dialed into their grades, and they're like, hey, look, I don't want to come after school anymore. It's like, that's fine, but you have to until you make the effort to change your grade and take responsibility for what you do. And it's really helped them take ownership of their education.
And that's how many are staying each day, 75? Or?
75, but again, if they get rid of, because you get 2 E's and or D's, if they remove those and increase those grades, then they don't have to come to the program. So we're 75 now, tomorrow it could be 60. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we give them a chance to make sure that they turn around and set them on the right track.
Thank you.
Next, first of all, thank you. Thank you to everybody for showing up. Thank you, Mr. White, for your leadership and your staff. So I just want to start there. Now, I'm always going to take the chance, and I'm going to take the chance now because there's no right or wrong. I see a lot of students here from the middle school. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to put myself out there and ask 3 different students. Not if you're a 6th grader, only if you're a 7th and 8th grader. What is the greatest difference between this year and last year? So I'm not looking for a specific answer. It's to each person that's willing to answer that. What's the greatest difference between being here this year as opposed to last year? So that's one. I'm looking for 2 more. We know there's 2. Is that Ms. President over there?
Yes, it is.
2. Who's the 3rd? Okay. Where's the 3rd? Oh, there he is. 3. All right.
Hi, guys. My name is Ashley McCarthy, and I'm the 7th grade school president. I think the greatest change is that last school year, it used to be a lot of things happening in the hallway, like running, conflicts, things like that. Ever since, we got, they've been speaking to us every morning about our behavior and stuff, and they put, signs in the hallway to make us, know where we're walking and stuff. Even little stuff like that, I have seen after every class period. It's way more calmer now. There's not a lot of things happening. It's way more calmer. It's just cool, and nobody's running. Everybody's walking. And it's not just we're just robots just walking. We're actually talking to our friends, walking to our classes. We don't really have a lot of students late. So that's what I think the biggest change is in this school.
Well, that's excellent. That was excellent. Thank you. 1.
Going into what Ashton said,
Wait, what, did you say your name? I missed that.
Hi, my name is Tiana Pickens. I'm in 8th grade.
All right.
And going into what Ashton said, it is more structure and discipline, so that allows the students to go into the day. And it's more calmer because in the morning we have meetings, like he said as well, and we actually get to talk and we get to know. They let us know what we're doing wrong and right, and they put in the discipline and structure so we can apply that. And through the day, it's more calm, and we have all the students attending their classes as well. So I feel like the main thing that should just scores and more discipline.
Wow. Wow.
Hi, my name is Haley Hines. I'm an 8th grader. And I think the biggest difference from now and last year is the workspace. It's more organized now. We have more, they don't just give us a piece of paper and just tell us to do something. They actually tell us what we're supposed to do, and we have more organization. We can learn more and grow. That's it.
One more thing. First of all, we don't have to explain what the transformation is, who, what, none of that. We all know without saying. So just want to thank you there for your work and the staff. But for Ms. Forrest and for students, I would encourage you to be in JA if you can, because I saw income, savings, investing, risk management, debit and credit, and budget. Many adults don't know how to do these things. They're not taught. You're not taught in school. You just have to figure it out, and some of us do it well, and some of us don't do it well. So if there's an opportunity for you to get out there and try to learn this as a 7th, 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, I would strongly encourage it, particularly because when you become an adult, you have no choice. And again, some are successful and others aren't. So I would be willing to guess that if you participated in JA, that you're going to be much more prepared than students that did not. So Ms. Forrest and team, thank you so much. Ms. Maxwell, thank you for your presentation. And then I'll move it on. I think maybe I'm next. I don't know.
Yes, you are. Thanks again to Mr. White and opening up your building for us to come here and host our meeting here tonight. But thank you for all the hard work that you and the staff are putting in to make sure that our children are well-rounded and educated. Thank you again. And we are now to our superintendent, Dr. Edmondson.
Thank you. I certainly want parents to be here and listen to this, as well as students. And naturally, the board has heard me before, but just for clerical purposes, number 7 is not report of the director of operations. That would be manager of operations there. So if the board doesn't mind, I'd rather stand up than to sit back here. It feels real uncomfortable for me to sit back here. Okay, thank you. So as I've said before, I've gotten everybody's attention in the community talking about attendance. So I invited Judge Oakley from the 34th District Court, Christine Oswald, who is trauma-informed director of juvenile probation, and Mr. Avery Taylor, who is a probation officer as well. I see Dr. Cheney back there, who's participating in our Thursday groups as well, and I'll talk a little bit about that. I'm not going to try to eat up any time. Put me on 7 minutes. Just me, 7 minutes, okay, if you can. So I've gotten people's attention because we're talking about attendance. As you know, and I've said it through many of the things that I put out, is that 10% of our students are absent every single day. We're at 230, I see 220, 200 daily out of 2150. So that's 10% of our kids are absent. It does matter. Attendance matters on the job, on your own job. Attendance matters at home, being attuned to things, and attendance matters in school. So I needed to do something. That's not okay. The trend is that on Mondays, we have more absences on Mondays than any other day. I can't tell you how to parent, okay? I'm a parent too, you do the best that you can, but at least I can try to set the expectation here. I'm concerned. I don't miss 20 days of school. I mean, I never did, probably collectively. And I don't miss 20 days of work. And I know that as students, I want students to hear this. I've said it to you before, many of you. Everything you do now, you're practicing to become that kind of adult. You don't just wake up one day and, oh, I'm gonna change. No, you're practicing everything that we do. Practicing being on time, practicing your attitude, practicing your skills, practicing your work ethic. That's why when you get to be an adult, some are better than others because of what they practiced. Okay, so now we're dealing with our attendance. Judge Oakley, would you mind coming up here so I can explain to everybody how this has worked? I need the school community I need the school district and the community to work together to address this problem. It's not my problem. It's not the district's problem. It's not the board's problem. It's our problem, collectively. So I contacted the judge and asked him, could we meet? Could his team and my team meet? So my team is considered the attendance liaisons. We had up there, I think Mr. Wesley said community liaison. The actual name is attendance liaison. We have 4 at this point right now. And we have 1 for every elementary school, okay? And we also have 2 that are assigned to the middle school and 2 that are assigned to the high school. And the reason that we have that is because this is about relationships. I'm not trying to put people in court. I'm not trying to do that. I have no desire to scare a parent and say, you're going to be in the court system, or any desire to say, we're gonna fine you. But I do have a desire to work with the judge here, and let's work together and let's put our minds together on what we can do to A, support our families, but also hold them accountable, because we're practicing. You're practicing. If your parent allows you to be out 10, 15 days, I'm not telling them how to parent. I'm just telling you that school is important, the same way my job is important. So before I go into a little bit of this, I will turn this over to the judge, okay, who is a former, well, not former, you would be an alumnus of the high school, correct, Romulus? K through 12 alumnus. So this is Judge Brian Oakley. I'm going to turn it over to, oh, you have your own microphone. I'm just going to turn it over. We're not doing a presentation. We're just talking to you briefly about what we're trying to do here.
Good evening, folks.
Yes.
Better? Okay. So first of all, this is nothing new for us at the court. We've been doing this with Van Buren the longest, I think, Christine. Christine and I were talking about, I think it's going on 6 or 7 years, maybe more. We've been doing it with Huron schools. So what we do is what we call our parental responsibility docket. All right? And I want to jump on what Dr. Ben said. This is not about money. I mean, I know a lot of people think the courts are all about making money. The only time I've ever assessed any court costs on one of these parental responsibility tickets is when it was a second or third offense for the same kind of problem. All right? So the way we look at it at the court is this is an opportunity to sit down with a parent or stand up with a parent and just let them know that everybody's got the same goal. Schools, courts, PD, everybody's got the same goal. Educate the kid so the kid can take care of mom and dad when they're old. Right? I tell the kid, your mom wants you to be able to take care of her, so you got to get a good education, get a good job. So quite often, I think what our role at the court is cheerleader, enforcing the message that's trying to be sent by the schools, but also say we're another level for resources. Christine's been working in my juvenile program for 19 years. She's developed an extraordinary list of resources. Avery, who came out of the schools, we stole him from the schools, most of you know that, and we're not ashamed to admit that. Avery's kind of our community guy. His main focus, in my opinion, I think I told him that, was to develop relationships in the community with resources. So the job is, look, parents, whatever's going on at home that's keeping the kid from coming to school, fix it if you can. If you need help, contact us, because we've got resources we can tap into. So that's it. Just hopefully it's a collaborative thing. Once again, we're not looking to punish people. We're hoping to send the message. It's important. Kids can't learn if they're not butts in the chair, right? It's important, and across the board, schools, police, courts, we all think it's important. We want to be there to help and share our resources and basically push things along.
Okay, so let me move this forward a little bit. So, I met with our community, I keep saying community liaisons, attendance liaisons, and all of our secretaries on Thursday. Now, I meet with the community liaisons every Thursday. Okay, I meet with them. All 5 of us are trying to collaborate, okay? Because for me, how you launch something determines if it's going to be successful or not. So we haven't even launched anything yet. But what we did is this, okay? We did this so our teachers, so that our parents understand, and I'm saying it for the first time, should have said this to the board earlier, but there are excused absences and there are unexcused. As far as I'm concerned, doesn't matter to me. I'm okay with either. Excused to me is you make a phone call and you give the schools the courtesy to tell us that your child is absent. That's to me. And that's what I said to the secretaries. We want all of our parents to just call. Just call and let us know that your child's not there. That way, it's deemed excused from my perspective. I haven't gone to the board. I saw some old, I think it was 2017 policies, and I think that we should probably talk about those, but I want you to call. That's what I care about. Teachers want to know, I want to know that your child is safe. If you don't do that by 10 o'clock, then you're going to get the automated call from me that says, somebody in your family has been absent. You know it. Some of you may know it, and if it's 10%, across the board, then I know somebody in here is in that 10%, likely. Okay, so that's what I want, number one, is just make the call and then you won't get that. Okay? If you don't call, then it's unexcused. I didn't know. We didn't know. The secretary's job is to go into MyStar and put that in. And your reason, if you give us a reason. Okay? That does not excuse you from 3 and 6 absences and 9 absences just because you called. It's still an absence. It's still something that I'm concerned about. Okay, if you called 6 different times, it's still something that we're concerned about. But we thank you by contacting us and letting us know that. I'm not here to be the police on why your child is absent. The secretaries aren't here to be the police for why you're absent. I need you to call us and let us know as a courtesy that your child is home. Maybe you're fishing. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me what you're doing. That's not my job. My job's not to parent you. My job is to say thank you for calling us and letting us know. But again, that doesn't preclude you. When you get to 3 absences, that's when your attendance liaison from your designated school will contact you and say, I need you to know that you're at 3 absences. Okay? I need you to come in so that we can talk about it. Okay? Nobody's trying to put you to threaten you or nothing like that. We need to know, just like the judge said, that we have resources that will be able to help you. We are working with the courts. We also have something that tells us all the resources in Wayne County that can help parents. Now, as I say to parents, I can't get you a new car. I can't give you a gas card. Okay, I can't do those things. If that's the problem, I don't know what to tell you. If you're in another school, or if you're choicing in, and let's say you're going to Barth, but you live in Hale Creek and you can't provide transportation, I need to know that, but I'm going to suggest to you that maybe you go to your home school, okay, so that you can get the bus. Because again, it's still an absence to me. Okay, does everybody follow me there? Okay, just follow me there. That's it. So at 3, we're going to try to find you resources. At 6, okay, we have a computer system that pops up and lets us know that you're at 6 now. Now the community liaison is going to contact you. Okay, they're seeing why you've been absent. Okay, if they deem that you need to see the judge and it's informal at 6, they'll say it. It's about relationships. If I know why, then I can say it. Nah, we don't need to have you go. At 6 absences, the judge, you're not in the court system, but the judge is going to open himself up in the evening. On one day, we said we don't have the day, where he's going to talk to parents. No threatening the courts, none of that stuff. But we need you to be there so you understand the importance. At 6. Then if you get to 9, then you're going to get a citation, depending on, this is all depending on the attendance liaison who you have a relationship with, or with whom you have a relationship. When they say, okay, it's at 9 now, that's when it happens. It's not an automatic, we're going to cite you. It's not an automatic that we're going to tell the judge to throw the book. Nothing like that. We're one community. We're trying to help each other. We're trying to work with you. But at some point, it becomes a problem. And when that becomes a problem, that's when you need to be not in the system, but with the judge so he can be serious about what he needs to do. Our community assistants, did it again. Our attendance liaisons, okay, will work with you. And they're working with parents. You don't have to be scared if you get to 6, if it makes sense. If you were on vacation for 6 days, okay, no need. Okay, I get it. You were on vacation. Okay, it still means you have 6, but you were on vacation, so we don't need to see them. We understand that's unusual, or that's something that happened that you all planned for. That's it. Okay, now I want you to know that chronic attendance is 10% or more of missing the school year. So there's 180 days, you have 18 absences. This is per semester. So if you have 9 and 9, that's 18. You're still chronically absent. But we're just trying to get a hold of it, just like Van Buren's trying, Huron, and I need to share with you. This is not a Romulus problem. This is a country. We have the problem as a country. That school, for whatever reason, seems to be a little bit now optional. I don't want it to be optional. I know what it's done for me and my life and my family's life, for me to come to school and be present. And when I come to my job, I've been practicing. Okay, when I was in elementary school, to middle school and high school, I practiced to be the person that I am. Good and bad. So we're clear. Good and bad. Anything else?
No. With the board permission, I'll answer any questions if there are.
This young lady had her hand up. Uh-oh, this is gonna be the tough one. I can feel it. Is it for the judge? Is it for the judge? Oh, it's for everybody. Go ahead.
Okay, so last year I was on a vacation for 30 days.
30! Chilling.
Exactly that. I was enjoying my life. So, what would happen then if it happened again?
First of all, if it's a planned trip and it's, might be culturally or it could be religiously, we back off. Okay? I would back off, absolutely. Now, if you're just hanging out and your parents are taking you to Disney World for 30 days, I don't know how that's possible, but maybe that's a different conversation. And it's a conversation with you and your parents about understanding the importance of school, that those 30 days missed do matter. Okay? How are you going to get these scores that we're talking about and all these aspirations that we have for you if you're not present? Okay, but if there's like a religious journey that you have to go on, those do happen. And there are other things, or maybe somebody was sick or there was a death. I get it. We get it. I'm not trying to punish parents. I'm not trying to punish kids. Okay? But I do want to come to the board when they ask me, were these attendance liaisons, we paid for them, were they working? Yeah, I need to show that there's been some increase, or there's been a decrease, I'm sorry. I need to be able to show them that this is important. These people that we have are important and they're making a difference. Okay? I'm responsible for the decisions, a lot of the decisions that are made here, and I try to stand behind them, okay, as much as I can. I think it's a fair question at the end of the year that you get a presentation and you want to know, how are we doing with attendance? Mm-hmm. Okay, I can't make you come to school, but I can try to do everything that I can possibly do to move us in the right direction. There's another parent.
Yeah, yes. I don't need a mic. I just have a suggestion.
Oh, a suggestion.
So I call if my children are going to be absent or tardy or whatever. Can we make sure that those phone lines are actually being checked? Because I did leave a voicemail reporting that my daughter would be tardy for a doctor's appointment, and then 10 minutes later I got the phone call that she was absent. So I just want to make sure that it goes across the board.
Listen, first of all, I appreciate that because I was at the high school and there was in-school suspension and somebody did not code it. So we got 7 angry, nasty parents. I mean, nasty. And I'm going to say this to you. Please tell others, you don't have to cuss us out and stuff like that. We're all working hard. I know it can be frustrating to get that call, but I don't deserve to get cussed out. Okay, I'm not saying that it's everybody, but it has happened enough, and I was at the high school to see it happen. And that was our mistake. So when I'm sitting with the secretaries last week, I said how important it is that you have to code this. When they call, you've got to go into the answer machine, everything you can by 10 o'clock. By 10 o'clock, because that call comes out at 10. And I'm sorry for any inconvenience. If there's a phone call from us and it's us, you don't have to listen. It'll leave a voicemail. It'll leave a voicemail. I'm not trying to hassle you, though. Okay, I'm not trying to make life miserable for you. And I figure that if you call and you at least give us the courtesy, then the system absolutely works where if done properly, and that's why we're all working together, because I want to launch this correctly November 13th, which is the new marking period particularly for high school. Okay, I want to do it right. So we meet every Thursday, the attendance liaisons, and we actually do different scenarios because we want to be on the same page. Yes, ma'am. Then I'll be.
My question is, okay, I just looked at my grandson's. He's missing 3 days, all excused, but it shows that he's got 8. Is that for each class? Are they counting the attendance for each class?
I would imagine that that's the class because middle school and high school looks a little bit different, okay, because they have to take attendance every hour. So that's the next thing. That's why it's not going to be launched until it's right. The next thing is right, but there's an email that's coming. I talked to the president of the teachers union and I think the vice president or secretary that I need teachers to take attendance properly, and it needs to be done in the first 10 minutes and hopefully the last 5, because kids come in 15 minutes late, now they're late, or now they're marked absent, but they were here, and it can be a problem. Again, I'm just gonna ask you to bear with us while we do that. We know that internally, we have to work on getting staff members to take attendance in the first 10 minutes. Seems easy, probably is, but it needs to be done right.
Because in the office one time and he got marked absent, and I got that phone call from you guys. And I said, oh, he was there, and I know
It's
he's in
there.
the office.
It's not a foolproof system, and, you know, as much as I can, and I talk to the board members about making certain that I don't know if I'm gonna do a video, because I'm not that video. I have somebody who does the nice videos. I don't wanna mess it up, but I'm gonna be clear on this is what it needs to look like. And as I said to the parent the other day, I said, please afford us a little grace. That's all I'm asking for is grace. Okay, we're all trying to be on the same team. Let's be on the same team. We're not always gonna get it right on our end, but we're gonna try to. And if you have any other questions, I'll certainly answer those at another time. You can email me. I want to thank the judge and his team, Dr. Cheney, and I do believe we have a board member that helps us out too. So thank you, everybody, for that. And I want to thank the board too for giving me the opportunity to try to address this and giving me the resources to do that. So thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the report of the Manager of Operations, Facilities, and Maintenance, Mr. Bill Garland. We have an action item. If someone would like to read the action item for the district vehicle purchase.
Madam President, move that the Board of Education approves the purchase of a district vehicle. Rationale, replacement of older model truck that has been decommissioned. Budget implications, $78,552.00 from maintenance/general fund. Exhibits Gorno Ford, Michigan deal quote.
We have a motion by Davis, supported by Kennard. Any discussion? No discussion? Can we go to roll call vote?
I'm sorry.
Motion was made by Davis, supported by Kennard. We'll go to the roll call vote.
Davis,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Piles, yes. Laster,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
McCarthy,
Yes.
Wester,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
You are the only guy that gets 7-0. I don't know how you do it, but I'm just sitting here like, again?
But I'm feeling
I
some
love
kind,
it though.
I'm feeling
I love
some
it.
kind of way. Everybody left when you announced me. Thank you, board.
Thank you.
We truly need it.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
I'm sorry, Madam President, can I ask a question? So this is one that is a replacement, right? And we talked about other buses potentially needing replaced. Do we have any type of schedule? Is there anything coming forward by the end of the school year?
Yes. I know that we're working on getting a list so that there could be possibly, but I'll let Mr. Brock speak to that.
Good evening, board. Thank you. The question was about busing, is that correct?
About the buses?
Buses. So we're working with the transportation department on new buses. There's a program that's coming out where we can pre-order the buses. It's not active yet, but when it is active, we will be coming forth to the board where we build a new bus specifically for the district, and it's a certain price. Right now, they're telling us it's gonna be about something, but we haven't signed anything or done anything, but we are looking to the future for busing.
Do we have any idea the number of buses that we might be needing?
Great question. I think the last time we bought buses was 2015, 17? 17.
Yeah, but we bought how, 10?
We bought 10.
Yeah.
So we are in need, I don't have the number specifically, but we are in need of rotating our buses as we discussed at our sinking fund meeting, probably over the next couple of years.
Right.
And that is something, should the board decide to go for a bond, that is bondable, and it is something that we can pay for out of sinking fund as well. But yeah, I mean, we need to start rotating.
Sinking fund.
We need to start rotating our buses 4 or 5 for over the next year, and then 4 or 5 more.
As they depreciate, period,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the report of the Director of Special Services, Dr. Meese.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
I just have a short update
Yeah, we can hear you.
I have a short update for the board. Some time ago, Trustee Evans requested that I look into unified sports, and I want to report to the board that I've had a conversation with a representative from Unified Sports. For those of you who may not know what Unified Sports is, Unified is an extension of Special Olympics, and their goal is to promote social inclusion through athletics. So in my conversation with the representative, it sounds like we can involve 3 schools. So what I'm thinking is Barth and the self-contained program, that would be students that we could pull from. Also the middle school, as we have a self-contained special education program here. And again, at the high school, we have 2 classes that are comprised of special education, of students receiving special education. We can also look to have students who are not in a self-contained class, perhaps they're in a resource program. Any student with an IEP will be eligible for this. And with each school, so if we were to have 3, each school would get a $1,200 grant to fund the program. And in my conversation with the representative, I found out that we can have really the sky's the limit in terms of what sport we select. My initial thought is that perhaps, and this may be ambitious, but my goal would be that we can initiate something in the second semester. And I think a very easy way to dip our toes into this would be to provide a bowling experience for students. That's something that students of varying abilities can participate in. Trustee Evans, do you have a question?
Bowling is taking place right now for the unified sports, then they're going into basketball after this.
So I was told that we don't have to follow any schedule.
Really?
We can
Oh, that's great then.
we can do it in-house. And this is, I had a misconception. I thought that we had to participate against other schools,
So
and
did
that's
I.
not the
So did I.
case.
Okay.
So we can and I forgot to mention another thing. The unique aspect of this program is that as it's intended to create social inclusion, the idea is it's not just for students with special needs, but also for students who are their gen ed counterparts, students that, again, so the idea would be to promote social inclusion for students with disabilities by some type of athletic competition involving their gen ed peers. So again, I think that bowling might be a great way for us to try this. And
Right.
I would be hopeful that perhaps if we were to do that in the winter, moving to next fall, we could perhaps do another activity. One could be swimming. So like I said, they said that the sky's the limit. So I looked into this on their website. It can be ping pong. It can be bocce ball.
Right.
So my goal is to figure out athletic events that could be inclusive for students of varying physical abilities as well.
And also the experiences that I've had, the students that are aged out attend. So up to the age out category also attend.
Great,
So,
great.
yeah.
Any questions other than Trustee Evans? Thank you all for your time.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you for the update.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Next on the agenda is the report of subcommittees. You have the HR subcommittee.
Madam President, move that the Board of Education approves the creation of the Director of Operations position. Rationale, reduction in ancillary expenditures and multi-department oversight. Budget implications, general fund exhibits, job posting.
Is there support?
Support.
We have a motion by Davis, supported by Kennard. Discussion.
I have a question. So with the creation of this position, how was the salary determined? Or did we benchmark against other districts, or did we take into consideration our budget? What were the factors?
Thank you.
Okay, once again, good evening. So the salary was really with a combination of different school districts who had similar postings, looking to triangulate where we could be competitive in the marketplace, as well as looking for somebody that either has some college background in director of operations or some experience in one of the categories that's listed on the job description, whether it's HVAC or plumbing or electrical. And just for the board's knowledge, we spent almost $500,000 on an HVAC system, or HVAC company in the 22-23 school year alone. Currently this month, and the month is not over yet, we've spent $18,940 some dollars on a service company. If you multiply that by 12, you're at over $280,000. So it's already a savings to the district. We've changed some things on how we do things, but ultimately we want to bring in somebody that's qualified in one of those areas to triage the situation that we have in the district before we start calling out to these specialized companies. So that would require somebody that has some specialized skills.
But they're not going to be doing the actual physical labor, correct?
I would say they would be. If there's things that they can and should do, then absolutely, unless it's something catastrophic, and I'll give the example that I've given before. I was fortunate to work with somebody who was a journeyman plumbing director of operations. There are things they can't do, like replace a water main line outside of the building. That can be triaged, that can be diagnosed, and then you have to call a plumber to have them come in and dig that up and replace it. So those things I wouldn't expect anybody to do. Same thing with electrical. If we have something in an electrical panel go down, we can diagnose it, we can triage it, but ultimately if it's outside the scope of that person's ability, we're gonna call in a company. But again, reducing what we're spending, and again, in electrical, just for the board's knowledge, we spent over $150,000 through the month of June on one electrical company that was on site daily. So again, it's gotta be somebody that's specialized in those areas so that we can triage and not have to call somebody on the daily basis.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would just like to add to Mr. Brock's comments on the system that we have is one of the very best you can have. It's a few minutes ago, Dr. Meese said, hey, can we get some air? And look at it, it's cooled down in here. But it's extremely temperamental and extremely susceptible to all the electrical issues that we have. So I'm telling you, we have to have a full-time person who can oversee the control system of it, meaning getting the alerts, getting the calls, being able to, even if they're working with some techs and that, they have to know what's wrong, all the alarms that we get. There's literally, we started with an RFP, there's literally thousands of pieces of equipment, all super sensitive because it's an EBI system from Honeywell. It's signatory. We're fortunate enough, we have the key, so we can do a lot of the stuff. We just have to have somebody who has that kind of expertise. And it comes at a great expense. It truly does. Honeywell charges $235 an hour. The current company is at $113 an hour. And that's for control. So if you start going 24/7, because a lot of times you're getting calls middle of the night, middle of the day, it's a very complex system and you have to have some specialized skill there.
So I'm gonna be pretty blunt. I know that's a surprise, but what does this do to your position, Mr. Garland?
Well, I don't have the expertise, and that is why we, for many years, were fortunate enough to have somebody here who was very dedicated to the system, to the district, and he was able to oversee it. He actually has the training, he has the key as well. That company has a key. Not every company is gonna have it, but we made sure when we bought it that we purchased the key for Romulus. But you have to have a lot of training in that area to program, to do all these different things.
And so is that company? So it's the company that has been around, changed names?
Yeah, well.
No, not changed names.
Not changed names.
Well,
but there was
a switch of, yeah.
A personnel.
Right. And so will that company, it will save us money on that company also, because we won't have that shadow anymore.
Well, we have had to have at least, at the very minimal, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be a prophet here. If we don't do this and we just hire another company, you're not gonna change anything. You have to, at the very minimal, we have to have 2 people here every day. So the one person is, if it's a Romulus employee, that's a savings of probably $150,000 a year, because you're not paying a company, you're paying that person. But the other way is, if we can hire a tech, then they can work in tandem. This is sort of the equivalent of having a mechanical engineer, which a school district needs. I mean, right now, look it, the lights aren't working over your head. I didn't even know. I didn't know that was an issue. But these are LEDs, they're super sensitive. They probably went out the last power outage and Missy didn't even know it. So you will save. You will save if you find the right person, if we can find and secure the right person who can take over the helm of that. Otherwise, it'll be a catastrophe.
May I add? I don't think you answered her question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Her question was, what will happen to your job?
Oh, my job.
Well, and I ask in all sincerity.
My expertise is in a different area, and my expertise won't change, and I won't be here forever. So, I mean, you guys know this above all. I care about this community above everything else. So, let me just say this. If we don't have the expertise that we have in that other field, we're gonna have a horrible winter. We're gonna have a horrible winter, or we're gonna be calling them back and say, you have to come, bring 2 people, maybe 3, because we got pipes bursting. But no, as far as it'll affect me, I'll tell you right now, if they take over a director of operations, they take 2 things that I don't have expertise in, for sure. That's the control system. I have no expertise in that at all. The other thing is those other areas, whether it be transportation or food service, whatever expertise they have.
Madam President, so in this position, is there staff that would be reporting to, or is this a person who will be directing this entire? And the reason why I'm asking is because when I saw the information, I know that we made some significant changes some years back, and I also understand where we're going, so I want you to know that. And I do understand that with what has been presented to us today, the need, so I want you to know that as well. But what I'm struggling with is the fact that these are functions that falls under the Director of Finance at some point. So we made some significant adjustments there with the salary based on market study at that time. And so from there, there were some things done where it transitioned over to where you were leading and directing and what have you. And so this is a function within a position. So number one, what happens with the criteria and the responsibilities of the finance director, how is this going to impact that based on some of the things that we did in the past in terms of looking at the market study for salary, the job description, that changes, and so there's no matrix. So in my mind, I'm looking at the criteria from one position, this affects another to this, and how is all of this tying into where we're going? And eventually, for these types of things at a director level, is it necessary director's level? Should it be a supervisor or administrator versus a directorship? And what was the criteria in determining this, what you're presenting to us today?
All very good questions. So to speak to the Director of Finance, if you look around the Tri-County area, Oakland, Wayne, and Macomb County, there are several Director of Finance openings. The people that are applying to our Director of Finance openings in our district have no expertise in the Director of Operations. They're a rare commodity that was done years and years ago to do exactly what Romulus did years ago, to absorb some of the funds and some of the responsibilities. That's no longer the case. Director of Finance, I was on a call a while back with Mr. Don Sovey, who I think we all know. Don Sovey said on a call, the director of finance should be paid as much, if not more sometimes, than the superintendent. Sorry, Dr. Badminton, but he did state that, and I'm not saying I agree with him, but across the 3 counties I belong to.
That is true.
So across the 3 counties that I watch, and I watch their postings, there are only a few that include director of operations in the director of finance, and those are very, very small districts. And they're becoming less and less because what we're finding is you can't find the people aren't out there. And if you get somebody that comes to an interview and they say, yeah, I'm willing to do director of operations, and then they start the job and they said, well, that's not my job description, it's very difficult to turn back time. So I believe that it is definitely its own position. How does that impact the director of finance? I don't know that it, other than taking that responsibility away from a director of finance, who we currently have that as a consultant, taking that away from that position, I don't know that that changes things because we're not finding quality candidates. We have enough candidates from the private sector who think they can come and do the job. It's a very different animal, school finance.
Well, the reason why I asked that is because you had a posting out there where it's included in there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're presenting this, then there should have been some adjustments to that so that we're not showing a conflict in both. And so that's the reason why I brought that. So I just want you to recognize that fact. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be or.
No, I understand. It's good. That's a good point. I totally appreciate that. We would adjust that posting, taking that off, should the board approve the position this evening, if that happens. If not, we'll continue to look for somebody that has that scalability. I'm not seeing it in the applicants that we have.
Well, okay, so I'm sorry, Madam President.
Yes, ma'am.
So again, I'm going to be very blunt. Several years ago, Don Sylvie created the position of Director of Operations and Finance and recommended Mr. Garland for that position. So now Mr. Sylvie is backing off and changing his story just like he did in other things for this district. Okay? I'm sorry. I have an issue with his recommendation and his professionalism.
Yeah, and I'm just saying what he said on a call. I'm not saying I prescribe to his recommendation, and I'm seeing that across. I'm following what I think is a recommendation. I just use that as an example because they're not out there. The candidates don't exist. If they were, there would be no postings for director of finance, period. Those positions would be filled. They're not out there. The candidates are not filling the positions. If you look in every county, there are a minimum of 3 or 4 districts in each county that have a director of finance or assistant superintendent of business and finance. So it's a hard position to fill. And then you tack on operations, we might find somebody who has a very small knowledge of it or is willing to try it to get the position. So that's my concern. We've not been able to hire that position.
What is the logic of having the bids for food service and, well, maintenance, I can understand that, and grounds for this transportation, for this kind of position. But food service, I mean, really, that's something within itself. Yeah. Food service.
I'm not sure what you mean by something within itself.
Well, this director of operations oversees physical buildings and the functionality of capital equipment. Food service is something, to me, and anybody can correct me, disagree with me, but something completely different. Okay, they have to know how to qualify the food service. They have to know a great deal of grant information and funding for food service. How are you going to get someone that knows how to change all of the electrical and the groundskeeper and everything else and know how to do for food service? I think that we are starting to really cross, as Trustee Kennard said, we're starting to cross job duties, tasks, rather than creating a position.
Madam President.
And I don't mean to put words into your mouth, Trustee Kennard.
Madam President, traditionally a person who is in operations, part of their responsibility is grant administration. Okay, and that is not uncommon. So I just wanted to respond to that in terms of what human resources have to look for, okay? And when they're doing that, grant administration is part of your operations, okay? And they have to have that expertise.
Because
And
here,
that's not uncommon and unnormal.
correct, just to piggyback, because he or she would also be over our, if we get the bond to make sure and governing and keeping track of how that money is spent when we're using our bond and our sinking funds. So there has to be, like you said, some knowledge of funding and how the grants and stuff work.
And also, let me add to that, Madam President, those two positions, the finance and the operations, work simultaneously. They're working together, finance at all levels,
And there
in
is
administration.
And I don't see any of that grant functioning or anything like that in this job description. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Trustee Laster?
Yeah, I was gonna, I guess, piggyback off that, and then, correct me if I'm wrong, you said like this person would be, let's just say they have electrical experience and they would go, fix little things before it gets to, they would kind of work on those type of things. Because that's like, looking at this, I would say a person that has been a custodian in a school for long standing, they would apply for this position because I'm not seeing that I'm coming in being electric. I can do this because this is what I do daily.
So if you look at the qualifications, page 1, top of the page, it says should have skills in HVAC, plumbing, electrical, college background. No custodian that doesn't fit that criteria, they can apply for it. It wouldn't be somebody that I would select in the candidate pool. It should be under qualifications or at the top.
Minimum is associates.
I apologize, I'm on the wrong position.
That's okay. I was like, I know what's in there. I mean,
I'm like,
listen,
I'm
GI
looking at
Electrical's in there. I know what's in
manager. I
there.
apologize, because I was just about to say like.
GI Electrical's in there. I mean,
If I
he's
was
there.
a custodian, I would apply because I would think I could do all of these things. Sorry.
That's okay.
Madam President, I have a question.
Secretary Files.
Yes, so a couple things. In listening to the synopsis of what type of person is needed for our district, I heard like a highly skilled expertise, electrical engineer type person. But when I read the qualifications, we're looking, someone with an associate's degree is preferred, or someone with licensure in building-related specialty, and a valid license, knowledge of plant operations, food service, maintenance, grounds, pupil transportation, evidence of strong organizational and communication skills. We want them to be able to read and write at proficiency level and perform a job satisfactory. We want them to have computer technology skills. We want them to be professional in their appearance, which isn't what I'm thinking about somebody necessarily working on our HVAC. We want them to attend the Board of Ed meetings, supervise and direct operations department staff, ensure efficiency of workforce and analyze cost reduction strategies. This sounds very supervisory. We want them to implement programs for the efficient operation of all school district buildings and grounds, security, safety, on and on. Demonstrate initiative and take proactive measures to make recommendations. We want them to assign work orders and monitor work orders under completion timing. I mean, what is posted is not that high-level expertise that we just heard. And this position is going to pay a salary of $110 to $120, which is a director-level salary without director-level credentials. And we currently, at central office, and I know this board has been asking about our positions, and I know Ms. Evans used the phrase top-heavy, but it is reality. No other district has all of the central office staff with all of the salaries and all the hierarchy that Romulus Community Schools does. And I don't know the why, but I know if other districts are doing it with a central office staff of 6, or 8 and they've got more enrollment, higher enrollment, let's benchmark off of them. Say, hey, how are you doing it? Because currently, our central office salaries, and this does not include our grants consultant, our 2 finance consultants, the cost of our central office salaries with FICA and ORS is $124,616,662 annually. And before us tonight is the creation of 3 new positions, and we don't see our budget. We don't see, when we approved our budget, we kept saying, where is this in the budget? Where is this? Oh, well, you'll do that when you amend it. We severely under budgeted in June, and we have not seen where we stand. I would encourage this board to please consider holding off on the creation of any new positions until we hear from our auditors and we see where we are financially, because we have become an employment center for adults. I want to see some programs for kids come across our agenda.
President, I'm sorry, could you repeat that number, please? Because it sounded like 124 million.
That's what it was.
Annually?
Annually?
Our budget is 42 million. It's not possible.
Yes,
That's
it is.
not possible.
And I'll share that.
It's not possible.
Well,
I'm just telling you, it's
I'm
$42 million.
sorry, let me,
It can't be.
I'll send you the thing. Okay, so we have, let's just look at,
Are you sure it's not 1.2, Debbie, or 1 or 12?
Yeah, so let's just look at our curriculum, because we're focusing. We've got, Director of Learning and PD.
Secretary Potts, can you give us the number, please? That's what everyone's asking for, the number.
Ms. Evans, I will, I cleared my calculator. I can send you the sheet. Okay, we've got 60,000
for,
I'm just reading the central office salaries with FICA and ORS. 60,000, 183 for 11, 196, 997, 108, 688, 190, 204, 88, 309, 74, 723, 70,647, 70,647, 74,723, 133,142, 86,950, 142,653, 61,816, 95,102, 88,309, 122,274, 122,274.
All these people work at central office?
Yes.
How many bodies is that?
Yes. And then we have 270,634. And that did not include, so the positions are Director of Teaching, Learning, and PD, Administrative Assistant, Supervisor of PD, Instructional Specialist for Lit and Social Studies, Instructional Specialist for Math and Science, a Restoration Practices Facilitator, a Data Coach, a Pupil Accountant, an Administrative Assistant, a Director of Technology, Director of HR, Administrative Assistant, HR Generalist, which we approved, that isn't filled, so I did not add that salary in. Payroll and Benefits, Manager of Operations, EL Program Coordinator Specialist for SEL, PBIS, MTSS, Supervisor of Special Services, Administrative Assistant, Director of Special Services, Receptionist, Executive Administrative Assistant, Accounts Payable, Bookkeeper, and a Business Manager position, which is currently unfilled, so that salary is not in there. So I would strongly, I'm going to flat out request that we have a finance study session, and so that we can understand exactly where we are, so we can understand the cost of our current contractual obligations and focus on getting what we are compensating for instead of continuing to hire more adult supports
This district will not survive on adult supports. This district will survive and thrive if we are pouring into our students and giving them the supports.
Thank you, Secretary Piles.
And I have one more question for Mr. Garland. Mr. Garland, the company you mentioned, I know that we have paid them an astronomical amount of money. Prior to that company, we had J&L Mechanical here for like 15 years, and they had the expertise to do heating, plumbing, electrical, whatever we needed. They had somebody who could do it, and they did not let us down. Is that something we can look into so that our needs are met, but in a more fiscally responsible manner?
It's actually the same individuals. Costs have escalated. It's the same team. It's just that things are now escalating. All costs in every way are going up. And these buildings every year, they're a little older. They need a little more fine tuning. And if all of you haven't noticed, we have a lot more power outages than we used to. We have multiple, and every time that happens, it takes out equipment, every single time. So some cost savings would be to have someone who had the expertise to govern it, and to hire, if we could, a tech. And then when you needed the other support, then you could do it. Now, I think that whoever that person is should have expertise in HVAC, should have expertise in the controls. But I don't know that we can get that, but that should be something that they could at least look into.
Madam President, I
Thank
have
you.
one more question.
Madam President, point of order.
State your point.
According to Robert's Rules, Chapter 4, Paragraph 28, a member who has spoken twice on a particular question on the same day has exhausted his right to debate that question for that day. Trustee Evans has exhausted her right to debate, and in order for her to debate this point, we must suspend the rules with a 2/3 vote.
Point of order, Madam President. So Robert's Rules does not trump board policy, and our board has never had any such restriction.
Madam
And I
President.
ask that when we are talking about an expenditure of this magnitude, where all of us are blind and ignorant considering our financial position, that we allow respectful dialogue so that we can make an informed decision.
Madam President, in our board policies, we use Robert's Rules of Order as a basis for our governance at board meetings. So because of that, we have to follow Robert's Rules
Well,
unless
I
we
have a
want to
real
suspend.
problem with you sitting down there and never
Madam
opening your
President,
mouth.
Point of order, point of
I
order.
have
We're
the
not-
floor.
Now, that is one thing, we are not gonna go bickering back and forth. We're not.
So Madam President, we have allowed the community to engage. I would respectfully request that we allow all
Secretary
board
Powell,
members
let me
to
speak.
engage.
Thank you, Treasurer Davis, for that. I was getting ready to say, I was going to let Mrs. Evans, Trustee Evans, make her statement, and we were gonna move on.
Thank you, Madam President. I do have a question regarding procurement and inventory control. It has been a severe problem that we don't know what we have in our district.
Yes.
Is this in any way part of this person's position? Because it does say that they are incorporating different programs for efficient operation of all school district buildings and grounds. And I'm just wondering if that is anything that we have in this position.
Yes, so the short answer is yes, and I would disagree with Secretary Piles wholeheartedly. The licensure that's required to have a journeyman's card is quite extensive, and if you know anything about the trades, having a journeyman's card in any of those skilled trades is like having a PhD. It's not easy to get. That's who we would be looking for: a journeyman HVAC, journeyman plumber, journeyman electrician, someone with a journeyman credentials as well as leadership. So the short answer is yes. The long answer, I would disagree respectfully with Secretary Piles that this would not be a credentialed person. And I will share this as well. Will not be, if you look across districts, the majority of the folks that are in these positions are not what you would classify as a typical administrator that has come up through the school ranks, that has served as a building principal. It's typically somebody from the trades. It's typically somebody who's been in the building trades, somebody who's been a plumber, electrician, and they have learned the experience of leadership throughout. So you're not going to find somebody that's a typical administrator that's come up through the buildings that has the knowledge and experience that we are so looking for to help this district. So just want to clarify that.
So my problem was not.
Point of order.
I'm sorry, Madam President, my issue was
Point
not.
of order. We're gonna
that-
move on.
No,
Ms.
my issue was not that it was a journeyman.
Thank you.
But the word preferred as opposed to required.
Can we go into a roll call vote, please?
Who made the motion?
I did.
Who supported? Kennard?
The motion was by Davis, supported by Kennard.
Davis?
Yes.
Piles, no. Kennard?
Yes.
Evans?
No.
Laster?
Yes.
McCarthy?
No.
Wester?
Yes. Did Evans vote?
Yes.
May I ask a question to Dr. Edmondson, please? Dr. Edmondson, in this posting, the word is preferred. Are we preferring a journeyman's license or a associate's degree, or are we requiring that?
Well, what I'd like to see is qualified candidates first. If we get to qualified candidates, then I can certainly make a decision with the team. It's who's in front of us. Just have a concern. I'm not gonna say, I don't wanna sit here and argue. It's already been done. But I'd just like to see what quality candidates are out there, and if they can answer questions and they can help us move this district forward, that's what I want. Okay? If somebody has a degree, great. But as I said, and I will tell you what I say to my team, I am not equipped to be the director of operations. As the superintendent, I know where my expertise lies. That's not it. Not transportation, not food service, not maintenance. And I go to Bill oftentimes and I tell him that, I said frankly, I don't think that he's equipped either. And it's not a bad thing. We have these conversations like, do you know food service? Do you know? I don't. I'm not equipped, and I say it all the time. Need somebody that's equipped to do the work. I did bring in somebody, and I believe the gentlemen know that. I brought somebody in May, April, to go over this for us for a recommendation. And the recommendation is you need a director of operations. And they are out there. Okay, in another district, I'll say, when I worked in Ypsilanti, we went outside, it cost us a fortune, got somebody internally to do the work at far less, because he was doing the work and training somebody on site to be able to do the work. What he could not do at that time, then we called in a company called Precision Climate. Precision's Climate was to do what we couldn't do. If it takes 4 or 6 hours and we can't do that and it's above what you know how to do, you bring somebody else in. I just want to thank you. We're going to do the right thing, and I think that I hope that the board trusts that. I'm not going to sit here and refute. I just say that, okay? But all monies aren't created the same either. General fund versus grants, and trying to put it all together and say you're top heavy. And maybe we are top heavy. Maybe we need to be top heavy because we haven't been. We've been operating on a skeleton crew. Okay? I can't answer that. All I know is I think we have the right people in the right positions finally to move forward and move this district forward. I don't know the answer. I'll let you know in a year how we're doing, and I'll say, yeah, that didn't work, or that did work. But I want to thank you for making the tough decision. It seems that it was tough here. I'm tired of being accused of this budget stuff. We have a finance committee that met. I've told you can meet with Dr. Gitstinger at any time that you want. Okay, I can be there. Doesn't matter. You can get the questions you need answered. But to keep bringing it up every time as though to say, you're not doing this, I'm tired. I just want to move forward. Okay, if you're not getting the answers, then go. I said it. Do it. Come to the central office and we'll have somebody speak to you and you get any information. I don't know the finance like that. I know it enough to see where we are. Okay, I do know that. So I'm tired.
Madam President. Madam
If I can-
President, can I say something really quick?
Sure.
I just think this whole conversation on all of this is the importance of getting our students or getting programs where we can train in-house, HVAC, electricity, all of that, so we can grow our people up through the program, just like sports, to be able to work on that, help Mr. Garland and whoever we bring in here, because we need this position. I'm not gonna go back and forth, but it's the high priority of getting our students in here trained with programs. I don't know how we can do it, what we can do, but it needs to be done.
Thank you.
Madam President, may I make a statement? In terms of skilled trades, I just want to add to the information that it is not uncommon for skilled trades to have the more experience versus the educational. Okay, the years of service. What I did was I went and checked, to find out when I saw this, to make sure that the information that was being presented to the board, that those qualifications and requirements were in line, and they are. You're gonna find that most people, individuals who was in this category, they have years of experience, and the technical, certifications, as Jessica was said to us, trumps the levels of education required. So I just wanted to make that this statement to the board to let you know that in trades, there are certifications and the years of service, that they have endured, you're gonna find it's gonna be more prominent then. And so the dialogue and the language that's in the description is not uncommon. You can go and look at any job descriptions and you're gonna see the language that's here in terms of qualifications and education versus years of experience.
Thank you.
Okay.
Madam President, move that the Board of Education approves the creation of the custodian manager position. Rationale, department oversight, budget implications, general fund, exhibits, job posting.
Is there support?
Support.
We have a motion by Davis, supported by Kennard, for the creation of the new position. Any discussion?
The motion should read the dollar figure associated with the position.
I have something to say.
Can you reread that motion with the dollar figure there?
Budget implications, general fund with pay schedule at $45,000 to $65,000.
Thank you.
Support.
Any discussion?
Madam President, who is managing the custodians now?
Mr. Brock?
Well, right now, it's one of the responsibilities of Mr. Garland. One of the many things that he tries to do during his day. So this would be, one of the issues that we are combating is our custodians work from 7 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night, different shifts. Having somebody available to flex their schedule to oversee that would be greatly appreciated and take something off of Mr. Garland's plate. Mr. Garland's schedule does not allow for that flexibility or that oversight.
Thank you.
So I'd just like to say to the board, in my role, so that you know why some of this might be happening. I've been in, first of all, I meet with custodians every Tuesday at 8 a.m. with maintenance. I meet with them every Tuesday at 8 a.m. It's been for the last month. But I told Mr. Garland, if it were me, and this is not my expertise, I said that I would restructure the entire custodial and maintenance department, period, based on what I see. There isn't a lot of oversight. I don't blame him. You can't be here from 3 to 11 as well and do your job. I've come in, there's some times where people are sleeping, no disrespect. Some of the things that I know that's going on, I think that can change if you have somebody that's gonna be, they know that you're gonna be there. Bill's got a life. I have a life. I'm not coming here at 3 to 11 looking at people. But I said, I don't have the expertise, but I told Bill, I would blow that place up and I would start over. And how I would start is I would start with the director of operations and say, here, I need you to do it. It's not my expertise. I felt like if we had a director of operations and we had somebody there, that's their expertise. I expect an expert to come in here who knows what a district our size would need or how to reorganize or to as I said, blow it up. I think it's an important position that we're talking about now, but I also think that if I'm a director of operations, I can look and see what we need. Okay, you hired me to see, and now we have people in all these positions. I didn't want to, I'm not trying to take anybody's job away from them, but I feel like if you get a director of operations, just as I'm superintendent, I have the opportunity to reinvent. I can create a vision around what I feel that we need, and I think that's courtesy to allow me to do that. So, I feel badly. It's not saying that I don't want this position, because I do, but I also feel that once we get a director of operations who can work with Bill as well, between the two of them, they can figure out, and maybe we do need this position. Maybe you need to have it first. I don't know. But I do know that there's a lack of supervision from 3 to 11. I can promise you that. Okay, is this the answer? Probably. I like Miss Martin. I see what she does. She keeps me aware of what's going on. She visits. She does the thing that I'm not going to ask Bill. He comes here at 6 in the morning. I mean, really? We want him to work till 11 p.m.? It's not going to work. So I thought this might be the best way, is to kind of split some of that and let somebody do that part and Bill do that. But again, it's come from me. I'm going to own it. I'm the one that said, we're going to blow this up. We're going to do it right. And I need somebody who has the expertise to do it in that area. And that's something that I do not have.
Is this a union position?
No.
Question. We currently, what are the two positions in custodial? Because I know the employee who you mentioned is is in an oversight position right now. And then there was someone else who the district recently hired who's in an oversight position to train custodians. So we've got those two oversights. Would this be a third, or would this be replacing one of the two?
I don't like it.
Yeah, great question. So neither of those positions that you have mentioned can be oversight. They're in a collective bargaining agreement, and oversight to me is firing, discipline, hiring. They have contribution, but they cannot, because they're in a collective bargaining agreement, those positions cannot, what I would consider oversight. We have a custodial coordinator and we have a custodial trainer. Those positions are in the bargaining unit. We are bargaining that contract this year. There are positions within that contract that, in communication and collaboration with the organized unit, AFSCME, they agree that there are positions, because that was sort of throw the kitchen sink in. I think we're in some preliminary agreement that there are positions that just shouldn't belong in that contract. And yes, potentially negotiating some of those positions out, because they just don't belong.
So right now, would you fill, if one of those employees moved to this position, would you fill the position they're leaving, or leave it empty right now?
That's a really great question. I would not fill that position, as this is a collective bargaining year. So I would not fill that position. Should any position in the custodial rankings be vacant, if it's a training or coordinating position, I wouldn't fill that. Because those are the discussions I've had preliminarily with that group.
Is this specifically a second shift position?
I don't want to put it out there that second shift, it's going to have to be flexible. So that person's going to have to pick and choose the days that they come in at certain times.
This is a test of the emergency broadcasting system.
Time's up, we have to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
So with what Dr. Edmondson was saying about the state of everything, would this be a position where someone from the outside coming in would be, is that something you're going to think about, like an outsider coming in to be a?
I would hope not.
No?
Oh, I'm saying I would hope not, because of, I don't want to say the history of the particular person. They know all the characters and know how the system is working.
So I can
Sits
speak
in
to
our
that.
meeting every Tuesday.
So is this already going to somebody, or?
No, so, great question. So the short answer is it will be posted and we'll interview all qualified candidates. At the end, the best quality candidate will be offered the opportunity for the job. Do we have people that we're growing inside, to your point? Absolutely. There are people that exude leadership qualities that we would want to keep and maintain within this district. Now, should an outside person do a better job or have a better interview? We would consider that, but ultimately, I am a huge fan of having a succession plan and having a grow your own program. So I totally understand what you're saying. Although I don't get to make the only decision, I'm just part of a committee.
Thank you.
Madam President, in most cases, when there's a candidate in mind, it's posted with a candidate in mind. And so if we're having these types of positions, it's not uncommon for you to have that description, and to have that in your description. I just want you to know that, and, that was a good question. Trustee Lester, okay?
Thank you. Roll call vote.
Davis,
Yes.
Piles, no. Evans,
No.
Kennard,
Yes.
McCarthy,
No.
Wester,
Yes.
Laster.
No.
Motion fails.
Madam President, move that the Board of Education approves the creation of the after-school/attendance agent position. Rationale, this individual will spend half their time supervising the after-school programming and half their time as an attendance agent at Romulus High School. Budget implications, general fund pay schedule at $40,000, exhibits job posting.
Is there support?
Support.
Discussion. We have a motion by Davis, supported by Kennard. Discussion.
Yeah, I do.
I was gonna say.
Oh, I'm
Jim.
sorry. Who? Was somebody just talking? No, I was like, I didn't think it was general fund. I didn't think that, Dr. Gardner, do you know? I didn't think that was general fund over the summer when we had been, or at the end of I'm sure it was grant funded. I'm positive that it was grant funded because we knew what we needed for after school and the attendance part.
So
But I need to,
Do we know what grant it's supposed to be?
sorry. I'm sorry, we can hold off on it until we go. I don't have a problem with holding off.
So,
I thought it was grant. I should search on one.
Madam President, I do have a question. I guess I'm confused as to why these are being brought forward under subcommittees rather than the HR department. Because
That's a great question. That's a great question. Thanks for asking that. Appreciate that. You're not so blunt tonight. That's great.
Oh, I
Appreciate
am,
it.
I just,
But it's good.
That's probably my second comment, so I can't say anything else.
So, great question, because I don't have an issue bringing them forth as I have in the past, where I would make a presentation to the board. The presentation would be all the questions and answers. The next board meeting, we'd do a vote.
Right.
When the HR subcommittee first met, we had a lot of discussion around what does that look like? What are we to do? What is the premise? Two of us were supposed to do homework with other districts. One of us did homework. I haven't heard back from the other member that was supposed to do their homework as well. I put it out to 3 contiguous counties, asking those to respond who had an HR subcommittee. I got 21 or 22 responses, and of those 21 or 22 responses, 3 districts had HR subcommittees. One of those districts met once last year. The other district met 3 times that last year, with the comment that they're not sure why they met. And the third district is a local district in Wayne County that utilizes that subcommittee as, instead of doing a board report and bringing forth the way that we used to do it, all of that would flow through the HR subcommittee. So when we met last time, this past week, I submitted to the chairperson an agenda, and I said, here's the agenda, here are some things I'd like to review. Really just trying to get a handle on what that HR subcommittee, I sort of took a leap of faith. But that's a great question, and if we're gonna go back to doing the way that I'm used to doing things, it's okay. I don't have a preference either way, just trying to navigate the HR subcommittee. So when we talked at the HR subcommittee meeting, we had some discussion around where should this come, and we talked about it coming under the reports, motions being made instead of under my reports, because I've already made the report to them. This is supposed to be a trusted board committee where a recommendation comes out of that committee and the board just typically votes, in my experience. And that's kind of the direction that I took. It was my own direction. So great question. I don't have that answer.
Well, yeah, I didn't even know the HR committee met, but It's almost as if the committees can now make recommendations, so we are endorsing changes.
I don't have that answer. I mean, I am used to committees of the sub that get together, they have these discussions, a recommendation comes forth out of the subcommittee as a vote on the board agenda, with discussion being very minimal, because at that point, the board members have vetted the process and vetted that system, and then there's just typically a vote. That's what I'm used to. That's sort of the process I followed, because I mean, having an HR subcommittee sounds great, but if we don't need the HR subcommittee, then
No, we
I don't want to
need
make
all
that.
of our subcommittees.
I don't want to make that
absolutely.
recommendation, but I'm just looking for some direction.
And this is a change, and I just want to know
Yeah.
the methodology
That was my methodology. No, I mean, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I'll throw myself. I was grasping for some narrative. I was grasping for some direction. Almost every response that I got back from a district that didn't have one said, "Oh boy, that's dangerous." And I don't know that I necessarily disagree with that, and our attorneys don't disagree with that. They agree that this committee can, if not guided correctly, can get dangerous. So I'm happy to do it either way. I just threw it out there. I see what would stick, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam President. So I did join the Zoom call late because I had my baby was sick, but it was nice to have the communication of what was to be expected from the HR subcommittee, because it's all new. I did say, and I'll just throw myself out there, I don't think that we're a board of trusting it. We're at baby trust. So something like this just coming, it's going to be the questions. It's going to be the kind of unknown, because we're not there yet. As we grow, I think this will be a great thing. You know, that it's been vetted properly. We've done the due diligence. There's trust there, and then we can just roll with it. But I think we have to come with some kind of happy medium from the subcommittees, because I agree, we need to have all the subcommittees. But what is it that board members aren't looking like, oh, did they just concoct this, or what's going on? Is, you know, just things of that sort. So I do appreciate Mr. Rock for everything he put together, because it was nice to have an agenda, but I knew it was going to be shaky ground coming into it, seeing bullet points of action items under HR subcommittee.
Right. Thank you.
Madam President, so from the assumption and what it appears to be when it's under the board subcommittee is that they're endorsing. Okay, and so that's what we do not, we want to stay away from that. And so I think I agree with Trustee Lester that we're not there yet. I think it was a good, throw it out there to see how I feel. Okay, but I think for right now, we need to keep that under the practice in which we have been doing. Until the board would have to come together as a whole to make that type of change, that magnitude.
I have a question, Madam President. Dr. Edmondson, this, I guess it would be more for you, just to understand better the role of this after-school attendance agent, because the programs that we run after school, there's staff members or outside groups who come in and provide the after-school programming, and part of their duties that they are compensated for is to keep the program attendance sheets. Students sign in, they sign out when their parents get them. They all of this stuff is already taken care of. So I guess I'm not, and it's not about the attendance. Is it liaison? Is that what they're called?
No, that's a different attendance liaison.
Okay, but so they're kind of going to be there after school, but they're also going to be doing. And then oversee and assign responsibilities each day, including leading activities, helping with snack, homework support. So our after-school programs are already designed to do all of that. So again, this is another $40,000 salary that with FICA and ORS is, almost $55,000. And are there benefits? I guess I'm just looking like, it seems like Ms. Kennard said earlier, there's a lot of overlapping. And as opposed to just putting people in place to do the job.
Yeah, so first of all, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the way that you brought it to me, so thank you. First of all, attendance liaison, that's not this role, okay, not at all. This person we're struggling, for lack of a better term, at the high school with having somebody manage the attendance, okay? It's a problem. So the goal was to have someone, we had somebody who went out for medical reasons, I don't need to talk about that, was no longer able to do that job. So we wanted to give the support to the high school in terms of someone being able to help manage the attendance. They have huge attendance issues, huge in terms of teachers taking attendance, big problem. So let's take some of that off of the plate and get somebody who can do that. In terms of after-school activities, the plan was this, to have like a robust system where one person knows where everything is, who's doing what. When I laughed, I did not laugh, let me take that back. Let me recant that. When the parents said, hey, when I called, nobody answered. Well, we're not gonna have that problem anymore because we have somebody whose phone number will be given to parents. When they ask that question, that person can tell them where they are. Because right now you have all these different programs and nobody knows where every kid is. I have no idea. If you ask me, well, who's in the Bible club? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We need somebody who can manage that, okay? Maybe that's not exactly, this was the vision, that we have somebody who can manage these things. If a student misses the bus, or what I saw the other day, it was 3 weeks ago, I couldn't believe the bus pass that was written to give to a student to get on a bus. No, that can't work. We have to have people that I know are riding these buses. Some of the, no disrespect to the coaches, some of the things that I've seen, there's no blame, but this one came from football. And it was, I couldn't believe what I saw. Like, you're gonna let the kid get on the bus? I was just, in my mind, one person who can have all of the information and is the contact. Because I don't know, I just don't know. I make a call, well, who runs the Bible program? I don't know. Who runs the Renaissance program? I don't know, Michael White maybe? I don't know. I just thought that maybe we could have one person whose duties in the afternoon was to make certain that we know where everybody is. When there's a phone call, there's some accountability. I know, we'll call this person here, they'll be able to direct you. That's basically what I was hoping. I don't know what happened over there.
So would this person then be like in the office for when parents call? Or would they be out in the, doing this?
That's a good question, and that's a question that we have. Like, I don't know specifically, but I was thinking in the daytime, they're definitely in the office when you're doing attendance. They're doing that. In the afternoon, I would have the question like, what's best? Do you think it's best that you do this, or this? Like trial and error until we figure it out. I don't have the answers. I have the vision, but I don't have the answer. I know what it would look like conceptually, but I'd work with you. If you have a better idea and say, no, I think it should be done this way, then I back off. I just need to know how it's done so that when all these parents do call, we have a number that they can contact and that person is going to direct the parent to what they need because it's confusion.
So, and I'll say
We're
this.
struggling during the day with attendance at the high school. I know that we had a union position and someone resigned and we never posted that and refilled that. Is that a need that we have to refill that attendance secretary position at RHS? Would that help?
I'm sorry, I'm biting my teeth. I didn't want to answer.
Oh,
I didn't want to answer that one.
okay.
Because it's a philosophical thing. The principal says yes, I say no. And I say no based on the number of kids that you have, that you shouldn't have 4. You don't need 4 secretaries for 600 kids. But Mr. Petty says, yes, we do. And then, so I figured that this, to me, when I was thinking about this job, it was not a district position. It was not. This was, you are contractually, we are going to contract with you. You can get your benefits somewhere else. That's not what this is. It's almost like a clerk. They need help. I need to give you the help, but I can't give you a secretary. I can give you the help, someone that, and I don't think that I would be grieved necessarily from the secretary's unit, but I'm like, you have 600 kids. I just don't see that you need 4, but I can give you a clerk that's paid far less who can do similar duties, not the same, but similar duties. Because
So this is a non-union.
that was my goal. Oh, absolutely, I was not.
Non-benefits?
Yeah, non-benefits, that's what I was aiming for.
Do we have security ambassadors that are
We have.
here after school? And are they able to take calls? Are you putting your teeth? You want me to ask you about that one? I'll ask you later.
Thank you. Just we're trying to address that too.
Okay.
And again, you know, I think these are fair questions, as I've said to the district, as I said to you all before. There's nobody's fault at this table, okay? The reality is that we've had positions that have turned over so often in every department that we have no consistency and we haven't had systems. My goal, as I said before, is to put systems in here that withstand my tenure and anybody else's tenure. We talk about kids. What's my legacy to kids is having some systems in place for them that work and for the staff and making certain that students love this school district, that I will do anything I can to make sure that they love this school district. But I recognize things are fragmented, and that requires me to think of things that we can do in positions that we don't have filled, or they've been here, you know, they've been vacant for 15, 20 years. And you know what? Guess what? When they're vacant 15 or 20 years, somebody else had to pick that up. Somebody picked it up somewhere, okay? And they would appreciate going back to the time when there was somebody who actually did that job and it didn't fall on as duties assigned. That's all I'd like to do. I'm not trying to be top heavy. I'm trying to do what I can to stabilize this district, again, so that when the leaderships change, we have systems in place and we have people knowing what their job is. So I'm trying to do the best that I can.
Madam President? I was just gonna say, I know we talk a lot about board lane and, you know, sticking to like our job. So I just feel like, just listening to what you said, if somebody is in one of your buildings and they're experiencing it every day, like I think it would be kind of kind to listen, or not saying you're mean, but just to listen. Like if they're saying, hey, I need this, then they probably, because attendance is a sensitive topic, I keep talking about it. I feel like we're not all the way there. I even experienced it. I called in and said, hey, my son was not tardy, that it was a sub situation. Still didn't get rectified, and I talked to 2 secretaries. Not saying that, but things could have came up. It could have been an asthma. I mean, I know the human thing, it's a thing, but we need something. I don't know if it is the secretary. I don't know if it is a position, but I just feel like we have all of these different pieces trying to do the right thing, but they're not moving together to get the attendance move forward, because it's still, we keep coming back to the same board meetings with more issues, this issue. I don't know. I'm not making blame, because I deal with attendance in my job. It's a thing. It's an issue everywhere. But I just feel like we're not prepared. Even people are on different pages. All of this stuff is going on, and it's just disheartening to hear the experience. Parents are saying, hey, I'm trying to call in and they're not getting through. So it's still some type of, I don't know, training, kumbaya, get together. It's not going to be perfect overnight, but.
So I'm glad that you say that, because that's exactly what I'm saying, okay? And I do listen to people. I've also been a principal for 15 years. I'm not going to air my dirty laundry right here, certainly not. But I'd have that discussion about there's sometimes that you have to delineate the duties when the numbers start dropping. Okay, guess what? You're not doing the same thing you did before, because there's not 1,000 kids. There's 600. So because there's 600, there needs to be some changes. And that's a hard thing to do, to tell people like, we don't need you to do that anymore. I need you to slide on over here because we don't have that. So there's no blame. I'm not going to air dirty laundry. I understand. And that's why I said we can do something else, but it doesn't have to be a secretary. If I can give you a clerk or somebody that does similar things to do attendance, then we've accomplished.
Or maybe even communication, like on the website, you can see that your child is in the Bible club, or we send so many messages out, these are the things that's going on, so you can kind of know, hey, if you need to reach, call the coach or do this, because that's still a lot in a high school for you to go to all of these different places to try to find students and things like that, but maybe using blast of communication to show what's going on in the high school, because I know we could use more of that. Like parent-teacher conferences, I know they're coming up. Are they on the website? No.
Right.
I don't know if you want me to respond
No,
to that.
it was just
Because
a,
I'm
it's
like,
just a thing that I know.
I don't
We
run a
have
school.
a
I
nice
run the district.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm the lane, but it's still
you're in the
just,
right
it could be
lane.
more
Appreciate it.
communication out there about what's going on. We have all of these programs. I don't know about them, and I'm a parent.
Yeah, thank you.
We did get some clarification. The position would be funded out of 31A
I know it was
at risk.
I know it was good.
Madam President, do we know the after-school hours, and will they be tutoring students? It said help with homework. Does that mean tutoring?
Not for me. They're not going, they can't be
Seriously.
doing. Yeah,
A
no.
lot of our student athletes struggle because they don't have a tutor.
Yes.
A lot of students in general struggle because they don't have a tutor.
Well, last year, it was, I believe football, it was mandatory that a certain time of the practice was directed toward tutoring for the practice of the football players.
Right. That was Mr.
So,
Well, for a lot of programs,
that.
coaches do not, some coaches don't work in the district and they get off of work at 5 p.m. and we need additional support
Right.
Right.
for an overall holistic athletic program for all of our students.
So this goes back to generally what I've said before, is that, you know, so much is asked of school districts to do everything, and you just can't. Certain things you can't. Listen, we have 3 people here. Would you like to tutor? I'm just saying, that's usually the same response I get from everybody.
But if
You know,
you're
like,
paying, they would be more open to it.
I'm just saying, like, I continue to do what I need to do in terms of running the district, in terms of, you know, particularly somebody's school, that's their job. That's a leadership. That's their job as the leader. It's not, my job as the district. Okay, but I get it. And I'm saying, again, this all goes back to the same thing that I said 10 minutes ago. Okay? When you have a system that has had so many changes, the goal is to get the district on the right track so that I can do those things. But you can't do it when you have different changes over and over and over. So it's like, let's get this together and let's put some systems in place that withstand. I leave, Mr. Petty leaves, anybody else leaves, guess what? Community knows that this is what that person does and this is how we do it. Even though we know when a new superintendent comes, they change things. But it's nobody's fault, and I feel like people are asking the right questions. You are. I'm gonna get to that. My goodness, I gotta get to these other things first. I'm trying to get to all of these things to try to stabilize, because what you're asking is to stabilize this district, to help our athletes because they need help. We have a principal here doing Renaissance by himself or with another person. We have some ambassadors help. People are trying to do everything that we can possibly do, okay? And I will continue to try, Madam Vice President Boss. I'm still trying to do all that stuff, okay? And I'm open to any suggestion that anyone might have.
Dr. Edmondson?
Yes.
And I want to, I'm asking this question respectfully.
Go ahead.
It's a legit question. So we know that our enrollment is declining, and as we just talked about, the high school has a lot of problems with attendance and tardies, and even our attendance liaisons, whatever,
Got it.
can't really do the job that they were hired to do because they're so busy with attendance and tardies. So my question is if we have declining enrollment, and so on the one hand, we tell the high school, well, no, we're not gonna fill stuff because you've only got 600 kids, but we've identified a problem, and that's a partnership school, which theoretically means it needs more resources. Why are we on the one hand stripping away supports while we are adding excessively in other areas?
Okay, so I can address that one real simple. This isn't stripping away support, this is giving them support. Again, if I make the position a secretary, it's still the same thing. It's just a different name, okay? He asked for help, I'm giving him help. I don't know, maybe that's lost in translation somewhere. He asked for help, we're giving him help. We're not giving him a secretary, but we're giving him the support that he needs. Here's the person, make it work. That's it. They don't have to be a secretary. They're doing something. Notice Ms. Garrison's here. I won't say they're doing the same thing as a secretary, okay? But it's giving the support that he asked for. Okay, now, frankly, you want to make it a secretary? I'm all right with it. I'll back off if that's what this is about. Whether or not they're going to be the secretaries union, it doesn't matter to me. They need help with attendance. That's what this is about.
Do we know, okay, if they're gonna come in and help out with attendance, because we want attendance taken, and at the high school, attendance has to be taken on the hour, every hour.
But this
So,
is,
I'm sorry. Let me finish getting my statement out. So, and then we say it's part after school. Will they have a staggered schedule, whereas they would come in and then pick up where, say, Ms. Garrison, or I can't remember it, all the secretaries over there, left off, where they can go in, and they're gonna go in and help them to maintain, make sure the attendance is done. Another thing that was stated, we have to also hold our educators accountable too, to make sure that the attendance is put in, which we all know that's a struggle. But it looks like we're trying to create a position that's gonna kind of help both sides. It's a non-union, non-benefit, so it's a straight contract for however many number of days it is that this person will be contracted to work. At this point, it would be a prorated salary for the remainder of the school year. We're trying, it looks like we're trying to give a little bit of that assistance to where we can get things leveled out, so we can try and reach out to our teachers for them to come out and be those tutors for math. Because I can volunteer to tutor, but if it's history, I'm just saying.
Called Laster.
Right, I'm just saying, we ask people to volunteer and to help tutor. We also have to be aware of what we may be getting when we ask for some of those volunteers for some of those classes.
Real fast. Mr. Brock, would you mind, Mr. Brock, if you could tell the support that we tried to give with Barb Birch to the high school? Please share that.
Okay.
Yeah, gotcha.
Not sure this is the venue for that.
No, but just what we tried to do. That's all right. I don't mind saying the name. I mean, we tried to give support to the high school.
So the high school was asking for support, strictly the administration. It was recommended that I reach out and contact a specific individual because this person was able to do what was being asked, according to what I was told. And then upon bringing that person on board to do some of the things that we had agreed that we thought they should do, according to what I understood, from the supports that were expressed, then when that person started to help out, it was told to this person that, no, we don't want you to do that. We want you to do this. So the supports were changed sort of on the fly. So the person was like, well, I didn't sign up for that. I signed up for this, and this is what was expressed to me. And maybe I lost something in translation. I didn't think I did. So we did try to get some supports in lieu of somebody who was there for about a month and then had some medical issues pop up that had to kind of pull back on that. We had to pull back on that. And then we offered this other support, and that didn't go the way that we thought it would.
And my apologies for saying the name, but I said the name because the person, that's what she did. She did in the district. We figured it's an easy one because she knows how to do it.
Well, and she was recommended. This person was recommended.
And it didn't work out. So now we're back again trying.
Madam President, let me jump in here. I've been trying to get in here.
Gotta fight for airtime. Gotta fight for airtime.
So I just want to make sure that in the midst of all this conversation, that the funding for this, did I hear you correct when you said that this is not general fund? Did I hear you correct?
Yeah, so we just got clarification, Dr. Gardner did, from Mark Graham, our grants consultant. He was saying, he just emailed and said, it's 90% 31A, 10% general fund.
Okay, so then my next clarification is that the attendance liaison, this to me appears to be more of a support. Is that correct?
Let's say attendance agent.
So it's attendance agent. No, the attendance agent is more of a support to the attendance liaison, correct?
No, the attendance agent is a support to the high school.
Just the high school?
Yep, and their pursuit of getting accurate and keeping accurate records for attendance.
Okay, so, and I heard you correctly that there was a person who could do this, but no longer is a.
Not necessarily this. We were trying to find somebody that could help us with what I thought needed, where the help was needed. And then we secured that person, and then the help, is my understanding, the parameters changed, let's just put it that way.
Okay.
On what we thought that person was going to do. Okay. So no, this person, I don't know, is interested in this position, is not being slated for this position. Not at all. That person was trying to do some hybrid work where they would come in, they would work with some of the things that they could do on site, and then also work from home some of the time. because some of the things they were doing was really compliance reporting for our count window, and then helping with attendance, and that, I was under the impression that that could be done somewhat virtually, and that didn't turn out to be the case. So I don't know that that person has continued in that effort. So that person's not for this position.
Okay.
This would be posted, interviewed.
Okay. So seeing that this is a grant funded, so the term on this grant, is that renewable every year?
We get 31A funds every year based on our at-risk population.
So is
Yep.
that language in your description, job posting, should it state that this is renewable every year?
So it is renewable every year, no matter what, under a grant, or whether it's contracted, because as it's a contracted position, we can renew or not renew that contract with a third party, which would be, I'm guessing would be EduStaff. So it's renewable, non-renewable every year, based on criteria that we set forth. So it doesn't necessarily need to be in the job posting. Typically, we tell folks.
Yeah, the person need to be aware.
Yeah, we typically tell them, but following that, we always say it's not a one-time grant. It's a grant that we've received in this state for years, and it's not expected to go anywhere in my lifetime.
All right, thank you.
So
So this is the staff, we're hiring through your staff? Did you say, is that what you said?
No, he was saying it could be.
Oh, okay.
it could, it's not, I didn't put it on there, but it could.
Madam
So-
President.
I'm sorry, may I just finish this question? I'm sorry.
We need to continue so we can move forward.
The 31A money, that's money we get every year. Do we, at the end of each year, have unused 31A money? Or will we be having to take what we allocate for something else and move it to this?
No, we've had carryover money in my experience in this district. When I came here, we had carryover money from the year prior.
Other
and then
districts as well.
Other districts as well. That was,
Well, we carry over because the grant year is different.
it has nothing to do with the grant year.
Right, but I'm
We
saying-
carry over because we have unused funds every year, or allocated funds that we allocate that don't get used. Has really nothing to do with the grant cycle.
Okay.
Every district I've been in has carried over funds and has nothing to do with the grant cycle. Has everything to do with you allocate something, you try to hire that position and maybe it doesn't get hired, and so therefore that gets carried over. Or you have a program that doesn't get implemented because it's just for whatever reason you can't find, whatever the reason is, that money gets carried over. Mid-year last year, the state allocated an additional amount of funds to at-risk districts, so we had that carryover money as well that we had to spend, so.
So, and I know that
Thank
the
you, Mr.
31,
Brown.
the 31A,
Thank you, Ms. Piles. You said that was your last question. We need
You
to
know,
move on.
we need to pull policy on this.
I'm sorry?
We need to pull policy on the censuring of the board members.
So my question is I know that we had talked about, and it comes back to, again, just trying to look at things big picture, so we're not making decisions that are disjointed and having conversations and making decisions for an entire district in a silo. But 31A made me recall when this Board of Education had discussed and wanted to do our Morning Scholars Program and use 31A money that was allowable to pay teacher salaries or staff salaries to come in, and it was allowable as long as there was a tutoring component or something. And we've long been asking, and students are asking for before and after school help that way. So again, I mean, I'm gonna come back to that. I mean, what we spend on an adult, we can't spend on a child, and this need is so great. We lose families because we don't offer things for them in the morning.
Don't we have, I mean, I'm sure of it. We have an after-school, before and after-school program at least elementary. I don't know about the middle school.
You
I
just
forgot
sent,
what it's called.
you just sent me a list. Want me to pull it up? So,
AM, PM scholars, we have that. And then I also sent you all the activities, I think you all got that in a spreadsheet. I gave you everything
Are
that's.
they already?
Barth has
Barth,
afternoon, PM scholars
Brownell,
at Hell
I believe
Creek,
Brownell
Hell
has
Creek.
it.
Madam
Great
President,
teachers.
I'd like to amend my motion to include budget implications 90% 31A and 10% general fund.
Support.
What did you say about Hell Creek?
Madam
Thank you.
President, I have a question.
I was trying to get to you, Ms. Evans.
Thank you. So in discussing this with Dr. Edmondson, I'm questioning the attendance agent responsibilities and how this indicates that they would be communicating just like the attendance.
Yeah, they're not.
Okay,
So
so
I
that
can
job
go back and
description
change
needs
it.
to be changed, because I was,
I'll amend it.
Yeah.
so.
Because
all
I
right.
don't want confusion as, oh, aren't you? No, you're not. You're not an attendance
Right,
liaison.
because all of
You're
the,
not.
Sounds like y'all had some.
Respectfully, the attendance agent probably won't even get to do tutoring because they're gonna be rectifying attendances.
Exactly.
And I'm glad you call that attendance agent, because that's what that is,
Yeah,
not
that's what I'm saying,
liaison.
this
right?
position, they
Right,
probably won't even
liaison.
get to do tutoring because they're gonna be so busy with attendance.
That's my worry too.
Right,
That's
right.
my worry, that they're gonna be so busy that they're not even gonna be able to do that.
the additional.
You wanna put a Pepsi on it?
No, no.
I guarantee you.
Dr. Edmondson,
Some
is this
fried
something that we can clean up this language and have like clear,
Sure.
clear language? So
Sure.
that, yeah, so that we're actually meeting, targeting the needs.
So is
Yes,
this
I
being
can do that.
tabled?
I'm all right with it, frankly. I mean,
And then bring it back next meeting, is that okay?
yeah, I'll be glad to do that. I'll be glad to go back and change
Table it.
that. Feels like I have it all support,
Madam
so-
President, I move that we postpone this motion until next regular school board meeting.
Support.
We have a motion by Davis, supported by Kennard, for us to table this until the next meeting.
So it's tabled, not postponed?
We'll
No, I
postpone.
said
I'm sorry,
postpone.
that was me using table. Postpone.
Postpone. All in favor?
Rescind it.
Table means you come back to it, right?
Right, table
Yeah.
means you come back
Means
to
you
it.
gotta start, gotta do those.
Still going to the same thing.
It'll be done.
It's still going to the next meeting.
We would have to rescind the motion.
I just took a class at the city.
Why are you
Rescind the
taking
motion.
classes?
The city.
I'm tired.
Robert's rules.
Okay, I'll rescind the motion.
Thank you, support. So this will go on November 13th. Moving on.
Madam President, move that the Board of Education approves the math coach on special assignment COSA. Rationale, additional position granted by Wayne Risa. Budget implications, Wayne Risa reimbursable grant of $125,000, exhibits job posting.
Madam President,
We need support.
We need support.
we have to go back to make the motion
For, when,
Oh,
and the roll call.
We did
Sorry, I
the
didn't mean
rescind, Fred.
yeah, we need, good job.
Girl, thank you for catching that.
Oh, it was a little bit of old and Rocky people.
So it was moved by Davis to rescind.
And supported by Kennard, right?
To rescind it,
We do all in favor?
yes.
Say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
So it would be rescind and make the new motion.
Now we have to make the motion, we
To
have to
table it.
rescind his motion. Now we have the motion that was made by Davis, supported by Kennard, to postpone
To-
to the next meeting.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm sorry, moved by who?
Kennard,
Okay. Davis.
yep. Thank you, trustee Laster. So we just had Davis move that the Board of Education approves the math coach and on special assignment, COSA. Who supported that?
No one, support.
We have a motion by Davis, supported by Kennard. Discussion?
So I do have, Madam President, I do have a question. So there is a person who is the lead for the district in math. And if we could assign that person to this position for a year, that would free up that salary and get it back into general fund for a year. And I understand that the same thing is with the reading coach, that we have a reading coach that is the same funding. And we could free up another $125,000, put $250 back into our general fund for students.
Dr. Gardner, can you speak to that?
Yes, good evening, Board. That is correct if we do not want to continue to improve the data for our district. At this time, we have a huge percentage of our students in elementary, middle, and high school that are not at grade level. For mathematics, we do have Krista Saylor, who's supporting the entire district. As we know, our high school is a priority school, or a partnership district school.
Right.
And our middle school is a TSI school. At this time, a math COSA would support K through 5 only, as opposed to Mrs. Saylor trying to support the entire district as one person with the needs of our district and the data of our district. At this time, we have over 50% of our students who are not at grade level. And so just like the literacy COSA, by the mathematics COSA that's actually being paid by Wayne Risa, they can work hand in hand with Mrs. Saylor to help us reach our goals in mathematics. Another point, compared to ELA, we are struggling in mathematics. And so I do believe it will be a benefit and added value to our district to actually take on this opportunity that's provided by Wayne Risa to districts in their ISD. Other districts are doing it, and this is actually the first time that Wayne Risa is actually putting funding and investment into mathematics, because across the board in our ISD, we are struggling as an ISD in mathematics. And so I go back to what Dr. Edmondson stated earlier, we need a team. We tried the one-man approach for many years, and look where we are now. So if we want to just talk about we shouldn't have more than one person in that position, sure. But what makes sense for our data and for our district to continue to be on the right trajectory towards improving student achievement, we need help. And it's not costing the district. Risa is providing this, providing intense training, paying for conferences, stipends, putting capacity in this person. And so I do believe this should take place for our district.
So leading into that question that I had, under the general job function, it says that the coach on assignment in math will remain an employee of his or her district. How will we fund this next year if this grant isn't available?
That is a good question, and that is, I would say, a disadvantage. I think this is like a pilot year. It's the first time they're actually doing it. So they want to actually see the impact. I know that when Reese's try to look at the data, we have a literacy COSA. I believe the first year it was a pilot. And so they want to make sure they're investing the correct way with their money and their funding. So I can't speak behind this year or beyond this year, but just like earlier, whoever's selected will be upfront and transparent that it's only a 1-year guarantee that we know from Wayne Risa. If they extend it, then we'll inform them of that as well.
But the job description says they will remain an employee of his or her district. So we are committing to keep them on as an employee after this grant ends.
So I can have HR speak to that point. I can speak about the math COSA for Wayne Risa, if that's appropriate, and what Wayne Risa is going to be paying for. After this, they actually say that in this email that is a disadvantage because it's only 1 year.
With this, I guess Mr. Brock would be able to answer this.
Is that appropriate for the turn of the HR?
Sure. Thank you.
Why not? It's my show. Sorry, what was the question?
The question is that it says that the math coach will remain an employee of his or her school district. So my question is, if this grant is not approved next year, we've already guaranteed an employee a position after next year. That's what it says, though.
I know, but I'm going to explain to you why it says that.
Okay.
Easy. Easy. I'm going to explain. It says that because they're not an employee of Wayne Risa. So whoever we bring on, if the math COSA goes away and we have to lay that person off, that position can be laid off. It's typically somebody in the district who's currently teaching and is a high-functioning math teacher or a high-functioning math person who can coach other staff, well-respected, typically an elementary teacher. If we hire somebody outside, obviously we would tell them that this is a year-to-year, just like it would be anything else. But it says that specifically because they're not an employee of Wayne Risa. It's a grant through Wayne Risa. They're back funding it, reimbursable, $125,000, but they're our employee, not Wayne Risa's. That's why it says that.
Madam President.
Thank you.
So my question is, currently, do we have someone who is working in this capacity or someone who's capable?
Capable.
So do we have someone?
Capable.
So what I'm looking at is, so if we have someone who's functioning in this position now, and then we're getting additional assistance from Wayne Risa, to me, in my mind, is we could have two people, but I'm not sure if we have someone now who's doing this.
I think I'm a little confused by your question. So I know we do have our mathematics instructional specialist, Mrs. Saylor, who's supporting our teachers across the district. This will be an additional coach. So Mrs. Saylor's position, she can support students and also teachers. The COSA can only support teachers in grades K through 5, where Mrs. Saylor can do K through 12. And right now she's focusing on the high school and the middle school because we want to get out of the partnership district status. And so she's also supporting elementary and middle schools, elementary as well. But to have this person to focus specifically on elementary, so we're not in 2 more years saying we now have elementary schools on a partnership district list, we're being proactive about it.
Okay. So what I was getting at is that I want to make sure that we were being covered on both ends, with something current, so that as the Wayne Risa move out, we have someone who's already in there where it could be integrated and it could be ongoing, whatever we decide to do after the fact, but making sure we're not losing what we have. So in actuality, what it is that we have 2 people, but they have differing functions, but they're giving the same type of service, but at different levels. That's what I was getting at. So I just want to make sure and clear that we're not giving up anything. It's adding. We're adding to it at different levels. That's what I wanted to make sure we understood.
Yes, thank you for the clarification. That is correct.
Question? This says that it's a reimbursable grant of $125,000. I thought I'd read somewhere else it's up to 125. Is there like so much money that RISA has allocated toward this that will get divided among the districts that want to use this program?
Actually, I received information directly from RISA, and they say there's benefits. They say they're paying the salary and benefits up to $125,000 for the 23-24 school year. So that came directly from RISA. Does that answer your question?
Okay, so we're not it's not being divided based on how many districts. We're guaranteed $125,000 to spend on salary and benefits.
Yes.
Okay. So then what would the salary for this position be?
Depends on the level of teacher, level that they're at, the staff member that we have to go outside and hire somebody.
I mean, if we have 125 to do salary and benefits, what does that approximately break down to?
It equates to about
80,000, 80, 90.
I would say.
Okay, and then my other question was, something was said about using maybe a district math teacher who's skilled. My question would be, what would be the impact of pulling them out of the classroom? And a critical.
Great question. And so again, it can be a mathematics teacher or an interventionist. So we have interventionists at each of our elementary schools as well that are not in the classroom. I know we have some schools that need teachers as well, so I can't say we can't pick a teacher because we're going to open up to whoever's interested, but we are also looking at interventionists in their roles as well in the schools.
Do we also have this position for ELA?
I might give up my classroom to go and be a COSA math instructor because I want to give up my classroom. I want to go and help others and do what I like to do. I don't want to teach social studies. I don't want to teach science. I want to teach math because that's what I like to do.
What if they're at a higher pay scale at the REA level and they want this position? Is their pay going to be reduced? That's what.
We pay up to this, and the district is
Okay.
then the district will be responsible
compensate for the
for,
difference.
yes.
Do we currently have a comparable position outside of our current staff for the ELA portion of this?
Yes, we currently have a literacy COSA on our team at this time.
Is that K through 5?
Yes, no, it's K through 3, the literacy. They expanded it for K through 5 for mathematics due to the data in our ISD.
Okay.
And they saw the need.
And who's doing the literacy?
That is Abigail Sniczynski.
Abigail Sniczynski.
Sniczynski, thank you.
Thank you for all the information, answering those questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, that clarified a lot.
Welcome.
I have one.
Can we get a roll call vote, please?
I had a question.
Oh, I'm
No,
sorry.
you're okay. Dr. Gardner, was this on the scope when the team met in the summer that this was potentially a thing that we would need, or is this just something that came up?
It's just recent development. And I also think because of the MSTEP data and ISD and the mathematics data was just so horrific, they had to do something. And so I think this is a recent development, but it wasn't on our scope when planning on the summer.
Thank you.
Madam President, may we request the makers of the motion to just add to it at no cost to the district?
We can't really say at no cost to the district.
Well, I mean, it's reimbursable, so it ultimately won't cost us anything. Is that
But
correct? We're not spending any additional
it-
money?
It might.
Oh, well, he just said no.
If we go with someone that may be at the top of their pay scale or whatever, we may have to pay the difference. Because the grant is gonna give us $125,000 towards their salary and benefits. Say if it's 135, the district has to pay the other 10,000.
Well, we're already, if it's somebody, if you're talking about if it's someone internally,
Yes.
if it's someone internally, we are already paying their salary and benefits, which are lower.
Not necessarily at the top of the pay scale. Not necessarily at the top of the pay scale. You gotta think about, we don't know who's gonna apply, but we're just saying, if it is someone that's at the top of the pay scale, it could be, like I said, it could be 135 when you add all of his or her things up, to whereas the grant will cover 125, the district will be responsible for 10,000.
Got it.
Roll call vote, please.
Davis,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Laster,
Yes.
McCarthy,
Yes.
Kennard,
Yes.
Piles, yes, Wester,
Yes.
motion carries.
What's that, 7-0?
Yes.
And where's Bill?
Had to wait till the end of the board meeting.
Report of the board president. I just want to thank everyone that came out today. I know everybody is gone. Mr. White and the middle school staff for the wonderful presentation, talking about the junior achievement. And I remember doing that when I was younger. It's good ideas, good things coming back for our district, for our students. Like they said, we did change, and they're saying by graduation, they have to have personal finance. It's important. It's important. They'll see.
I agree. It's time to go.
This is the test from the emergency broadcasting system. But no, it's good to hear that, because like you said, they'll know when when they go get their jobs, oh, I can't get these $150 gym shoes and these $200 jeans. They'll see we really have to budget now, and mom and dad are not there to pick up the slack all the time. But I just want to thank everyone for all the wonderful information. Mr. Brock for your help, Dr. Edmondson and his team for all the work that they're doing. Eve, thank you for everything that you do to keep us tight as a board. I want to thank all my colleagues for all their help, all their questions. We learn from each other. Sometimes, it does seem like we go back to back, but this is how we do it. We just have to learn how to do it more professional. Once again, the students that stood up, that got up for their NWEA scores, so talented. I'm so proud of them. Our young president right here. Moving on up, Mr. Ashton McCarthy. But no, thank you all for everything that you do. Treasurer Davis, do you have anything?
Yeah, just one quick thing. I've been thinking throughout this meeting, and I've come to a conclusion that if we truly want to move this district forward, we cannot keep living in the past. We can't function a district where everybody is overworked and all departments are understaffed. That's it.
Thank you.
And you better clap for me.
Trustee Laster.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out. It is such an honor to sit in the middle school library media center where I used to sit in that very seat over there with Miss Firestone and be her library assistant, so getting old. But it's good to be here. I'm excited to see the presentation for the kids to learn soft skills because there are adults right now that do not know. So these kids can go out and help their grandparents and their parents and teach them because it's something that they're going to need. And I just am excited to see we have to move to get the kids to be able to fill in for their NWEA, and they're at the top of the class. And the decisions that we're making to put the things in place to help them, that's the thing, because we don't have a magic wand as one person on the board, but we make the decisions to put the things in place that our students and staff need. So seeing this next year, we'll be able to come back and see, is this working? So that's what I'm excited for. Thank you.
Trustee Evans.
I want to just congratulate all the students that were here tonight and recognized. In addition, Mr. White, Mr. Wesley, Ms. Clark, Ms. Maxwell, for their presentations and enthusiasm for what the programs that they brought forward. And thank you to all the teachers and staff for working so diligently with us as a whole. Thank you, everyone that's at this table, for working together, asking the questions that we have to answer. Thank you to the community for coming out and supporting us.
Trustee Kennard.
Well, I would just like to say that this was a very eventful and delightful meeting tonight, and from it, I'm gathering that each one of us will walk away with pros and cons and what else and things that we could think about in terms of moving the district forward. I was very happy to hear all the information that was received and graphed. Mr. White and Mr. Wesley, I had the opportunity, I think I mentioned at one of the other previous board members, to just spend half a day with them. And also I found that at that time, the climate with the students and the interactions with those administrators and what they do. In terms of what they do and where they have came from, in terms of where they are today, where the staff are feeling more in line with each other, and the kids are happy and the staff are happy and feeling even safe. And so I'm a firm believer knowing that in order to have a strong foundation and to build the foundation, is you have to start from the foundation in order to build and to go on, and for strategic thinking. So when the foundation cracks, you have to mend it along the way. So therefore, all of that comes together with maturity and experience, and knowing that you can't move something and forget about the past. You got to know where you're going and how you got there. Thank you.
Secretary Piles.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here at the middle school. And I'll see all the changes. The presentations tonight were fabulous. My favorite part was hearing from the students and hearing just what they're responding to, what they are liking about their educational experience. It's exciting to hear that there is more structure, and that I don't know the last time I heard middle school students say that they appreciate the discipline, the structure, and just the conversations that our staff is having with them. Our middle school gets gets bad rep. Sometimes it's perception, sometimes it's actual, but tonight there's a real feeling of pride in this building, and to see everything that the middle school staff is doing, and to see that the way that our middle school students are flourishing under that. I did want to ask about, I know the applications for the 23G grant funding is out. I'm wondering if that's something that we will be applying for. It's approximately $300 per student, and it's awarded on a per pupil basis for all at-risk students, which we have a large number of, and it can be used for after-school programming. It can be used for transporting students home. So I'm just wondering about that. And then the other thing that came to mind tonight when we were hearing the different middle school presentations is the new state law that was enacted last year, and it is effective now, required that all students in grades 8 through 12 who are enrolled in a school district receive a packet of information of postgraduate opportunities, and that was to go out by October 1. I'm just wondering, not if we did or if we didn't, but if we didn't, is that something that we will be getting out? I think that that's very much aligned with what we heard tonight, and
it's also a compliance issue, so it's a win-win.
Thank you. Vice President.
Eagle Nation, thank you for coming out tonight. When Dr. Edmondson first came back to the district, I remember him saying that the middle school would be our crown jewel of the district. And to see where our middle school is today, I'm very impressed with it. Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. And the data speaks for itself. I'm very impressed with our school district bringing back student government. Ashton McCarthy, very proud of you. I'm very transparent about my children. When Ashton first came to the middle school, he had a rough, rocky start. So to see him today as class president, I could not be more proud of you. And I wanted to say that publicly. Keep up the great work. I'm also proud of you, Aaron McCarthy, for always stepping up to be a leader. They say train up a child in the way that they should go, and to have 3 of my children at the school board meeting today, it means a lot to me. I'm inspired. It inspired me to keep going. So thank you, Romulus, for providing this opportunity, not only for me, but for my children as well.
Thank you. Dr. Edmondson.
Yeah, just for the board, I gave you a couple handouts. I know, people are talking about splits and it's inconvenient, but make sure that you understand the research before you come out. Okay, the research is pretty clear on splits. It's not necessarily something that you want to do, but based on teacher contract and some other things and research, it's not a bad thing. Okay, just not a bad thing. So I put that in there for you. I want to thank my team. I tell you all the time, I love coming to work and seeing you, and you guys know the last 3 months have been real tough on me. So I just really appreciate you all and coming and dealing with my ups and downs that I've had. So I just thank you all. I love coming here. I like how we work together, cooperatively and collaboratively. And the last thing is that if you have Hulu, you'll start seeing our commercials, our promotions, that's what I call them. They'll be on Hulu. I think it costs $500. That's it already. They've reached 350 families as of yesterday. Did anybody see one yet? No. Okay, but if you have Hulu and you're we have a certain amount of, like in the 48188 zip code where I live, it's on there. So I haven't seen it yet, but I want to thank Mr. Dennison there. He's doing an outstanding job. He is doing an outstanding job. I put him on the spot that time and asked him about his vision, and he choked. He couldn't do it. But his vision is coming to fruition. We see it all the time. We see what he's doing. I thank you. I love working with you, and looking forward to seeing these commercials. And just thanks to the board, just in general. It's nobody's fault. Okay? But moving forward, it will be our fault if we continue to get stuck. Okay, we need to move the district forward and put it in a good place, okay, so that it can withstand things that it hasn't been able to withstand. So, looking forward to it. Young McCarthy, proud of you too. You closing us out?
Madam President, may I?
Go ahead on President McCarthy.
Wow. Thank you. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to, I really appreciate how y'all treated me while I talked. I feel very welcome. I didn't feel judged or nothing. I feel welcomed. I feel loved. And I really wanted to say I appreciated that, guys. So thank you.
You are very welcome, young man. Motion to adjourn.
Support.
9:06. All in favor?
Aye.
Wow.
9 o'clock.
Oh, I think you just said 9:16.
I was looking at that clock back there. That's the wrong clock.